I was always a little bewildered at the setup for this story, but looking at it now, a wedding probably is the best excuse to shove a bunch of characters together. And true to real life, the people that you didn't want to show up are always the first to arrive. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Tales Showcase, where you don't have to worry about wedding planning if you have no one. Life is hell. I'm your host, the Watcher of New Earth. Well, everyone, wedding bells are ringing. Metaphorically speaking, of course, the actual bells you're hearing are the sleeper elves in your attic that watch you while you sleep. Regardless, this summer in comics, two fan-favorite super couples are finally tying the knot. Yes, after decades of strained relations, writers messing with characterization, and the two even being enemies at some points, these crazy kids are finally getting together. Isn't it even slightly an issue that I could be talking about either of these two couples right now? Either way, they seem like they're through the worst of it, because when has Marvel or DC ever torn up a healthy relationship? Either way, to celebrate these two unions, which, at the time of this recording, Batman and Catwoman are not married, and Kitty Pryde and Colossus, well, let's just say their wedding didn't go quite as planned. Regardless of these few hiccups, let's look at the wedding that defines Marvel's first family.
Released in 1965, Fantastic Four Annual No. 3 was a supersized issue, reprinting two now-classic Fantastic Four stories, with the new main feature being the wedding of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, arguably the defining relationship of the early Marvel days. Apart from this milestone, though, the issue was also incredibly ambitious for attempting to fit in pretty much all of their major heroes and villains from Marvel's early days.
Even though Marvel's roster was not nearly what it is now, but hey, props for trying. So I'm going to be reading from a digital comic today, because if I had enough money to buy the original copy, I frankly wouldn't be here right now. And you might be wondering, why am I reading from my laptop instead of from my phone? Well, to answer that... This is Fantastic Four Annual No. 3.
The story opens with Dr. Doom holding a newspaper that tells of Reed and Sue's wedding.
He looks like a kidnapper who needed to show the day, but didn't trust the hostage enough to hold them.
Doom, still a bit peeved off at the Four for defeating him, hatches a plan to get back at them at the ceremony. He does this by sending out a mental signal to all villains that will cause them to feel the urge to destroy the team themselves.
Outsourcing, the one true global threat.
Back in New York, crowds of people have gathered for the media event. This includes Tony Stark, falsely believing he can pull off a top hat, and the teen comics character Patsy Walker, a full decade before she would be reintroduced as the superhero Hellcat. In the crowd is also the villain Puppet Master, who controls another guest that is about to greet Ben Grimm. He's stopped, however, by Nick Fury and some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Puppet Master flees unnoticed, claiming he's not sure why he did that, almost as if he's under someone's control. And Stanley takes the opportunity to leave an editor's note to remind us that that someone is in fact Dr. Doom.
Hey, Stan, I appreciate that you think I'm an idiot, I really do. But that was only a page and a half ago. Maybe have some confidence that your audience has even a semblance of an attention span?
As Puppet Master slips away, another enemy emerges from the shadows. The time has come for the Red Ghost and his super apes.
Excuse me, what? The Red Ghost? The Red Ghost. Alright. Cool apes, bro.
Back inside the building, Ben tries to decide whether or not to tell Reed of the attempted attack. Before he can decide, however, a giant drill bursts through the floor, carrying Mole Man and his minions, who soon swarm the room. Fortunately, Professor X is on the scene, and he summons the X-Men. Settle down, it's not the cool ones. That said, they do make short work of the villains, allowing Ben to rush upstairs to warn the others. He doesn't get far when he hears screams coming from a room. He goes to discover Sue and Alicia Masters, his girlfriend, cornered by apes. Ben is blindsided by one of the apes as Reed arrives, correctly deducing that this is the work of the Red Ghost.
Sorry, red ghost.
The Human Torch arrives soon after, attacking the intruder.
Have you forgotten? Fire cannot affect the red ghost's unsullied.
He's not. He's not red. Okay? He's not red. Someone needs to acknowledge it.
Seeing his attack is worthless, the Torch backs off as the ghost pulls out a blaster. Reed quickly tells Johnny to back away, claiming that his powers will allow him to withstand the blast.
I don't know if that's how your powers work. Or if that's how anything works, really, but, you want to test your theory and get shot, I'm not going to stop you.
Before we're blessed by the imagery of Reed's face being shot by a tiny old man, the ghost and his minions are transported away to a different dimension. It's revealed that this was the work of Doctor Strange.
By the hoary hordes of Hoggith. Language!
From here on out is where the issue truly shines. Not because of some brilliant storytelling or character drama, but because it finally accepts what it is. A big excuse to shove all of these characters together and watch them bounce off each other. And it doesn't disappoint. You've got oddball mashups like Thor vs. Super Skrull and Captain America going toe-to-toe with the Executioner, and then you've got sheer insanity like the Enchantress trying to kill Hawkeye with the safe, only for him to be saved by Spider-Man at the last minute, and then Daredevil of all people, hijacking a truck that's carrying a bomb from several Hydra soldiers. It's bizarre, chaotic fun. The X-Men rejoin the fray as Angel tries to stop the Black Knight from subduing Daredevil, only to be shot out of the sky by the Mandarin. Yeah, characters spawn straight the hell out of nowhere, don't question it. Before Angel hits the ground, however, Beast catches him, touting it as his greatest feat.
Yeah, it really is something. Almost as impressive as a few years from now when you transport this version of yourself to the future, causing all sorts of time-shattering, reality-bending tomfoolery. Oh, Hank, you used to be the good one.
The battle is now in full swing with all the super beings converging for the brawl. Well, almost all of them, as the ship arises from the Hudson River carrying the Atlantean warlord Atuma. Think of him as Namor, without the royalty, charm, or pure unadulterated attractiveness. Before he and his army can do anything, though, Daredevil bombs the fleet with the truck from earlier.
One would think that this level of insanity would tick me off, but I'm strangely okay with this.
The fight continues as the Watcher suddenly arrives. He offers Reed his help, even though he's not really allowed to do that. He transports them both through this weird dimension that he says is beyond human understanding. And, fair enough. I certainly don't know what I'm looking at. The Watcher takes Reed to a lab filled with crazy inventions, only catch is that the Watcher won't explain what any of them do. Reed chooses one of the devices and is transported back home where he turns it on. The machine begins to suck in all the villains as Reed explains how he knew by the machine's construction that it was used to transport people back in time and erase their memory of what had just happened.
Okay. I think I let a lot of things slide in comics. I can believe that the universe is its own anthropomorphic character. I can argue the necessity of two separate archers on two separate super teams. And I'll even call this guy my favorite superhero, even though he objectively dresses like a damn fool. But you're trying to get me to believe that you looked at this thing and correctly deduced that it was a time travel / amnesia device. No, sir. No. There's a line, and you just crossed it.
Anyway, the machine works and also erases Doom's memory. Somehow, your guess is as good as mine. Regardless, the heroes rejoice and continue on to the ceremony, where the happy couple is finally wed. No mere words of ours can truly describe the tenderness of this moment, so we won't even try.
Alright, that's adorable.
And the comic ends with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, essentially the parents of the Fantastic Four, being rejected and ousted from the wedding.
A feeling Jack Kirby would unfortunately have to get used to. What? I'm not encouraging something, I'm merely pointing out a historical travesty that they completely went along with. That being said, this comic is fantastic.
This comic serves as the ultimate tribute to the early days of Marvel. It's bizarre and ridiculous, but it's so much fun you almost don't mind. The characters are fun and engaging, the action pieces create dynamic pairings, and it all leads up to a genuinely sweet moment, one that would have remaining effects to this day. You excuse the goofy, and it leads to a great, fun piece of Marvel history.
Nonsensical, but certainly not in a bad way, it definitely shows how the Silver Age Marvel stuff paved the way for the diverse and rich universe that we have now. If you can handle the inherent silliness, I definitely recommend it. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. This is the Watcher of New Earth, signing off.